I'm David Gravette, and we're watching my And Now TransWorld part from 2007, I think. Here we go. Been a bit. This intro bit, right here, this was absolutely nuts, though. It was in New York, I believe, at some Creature Trip, some like death metal show we were going to, and it was like a gore, like people dressed up in crazy costumes, and there was an insane mosh pit that was actually a pit, like it was below everything else. And I'm standing above it right now, just like watching the insanity. And I finish one beer that I have, and I throw it into the pit. And then a full beer just comes flying back and I catch it. So many moments in life that you're like, God, I wish someone had that on film. And that was one that happened. All right, now some typical scorpions in a nut shot. I've had so many video parts that have started out with scorpion slams. It's kind of weird. Scully popped out. We had the Scully pops out line that led to Scully's, the infamous Scully necklace. That it's hidden away because it broke and got lost so many times and came back to me, and now it's just like in a glass jar hidden away.
One injury to a next, man.
Yeah, one injury to the next line. That's because I destroyed my ankle the first day of that trip to China. And then it was like the last day, and I was almost feeling like my ankle was still totally dust, but I could skate enough to try that pole jam. They weren't even filming yet. It was just like a pole jam into a bank that I was like, whoa, I could probably not a spin this. Or it wasn't a pole jam, it was just a pole. And I just wanted to do a not a spin into the bank. The pole was wobbly though, and I shifted and board slipped off, landed on the board, zung out, took the pole right to it just slammed right into my heart basically, and firecrackered up my rib cage, and I almost went to the hospital many times that night. My heart was beating weird. It felt like swollen or something, but yeah. First trick, can't back 50 anymore. Back then, a front 50 and a back 50 were like the same thing. Can't do it anymore. I just can't. Every time I try to back 50 a rail, my wheels go over the other side and I just like taco it. It's ridiculous. Ledge lines, worked hard for these ones. Manual trick, ledge line and manual trick. That'll do, pig.
Who filmed us?
The homie Garrett Hunt, who I grew up skating with. Like, he was the first dude I really filmed a bunch with, and we were kind of just coming up together, like him trying to be a filmer and me trying to be a skater and getting along super good and just having a great time. And so when I got the TransWorld part, I mean, I was stoked for him too, because both of us loved TransWorld videos were always considered the epitome of a really good skate video. And as a filmmaker and filmer, he loved TransWorld videos because that was definitely the top of the game for both those things. And so I was stoked that he was getting to meet the TransWorld dudes and film for the video. I think he was the only one besides Chris Ray that filmed. I filmed with him mostly, but then on trips, Jon Holland was there too, so we filmed with both of them, and yeah. I was pretty stoked on this whole line. Tough battling through all those cracks, but oh yeah, I'm about to try to catch a fish. Should have came up with a trout right there. Oh, that pole jam session was sketchy. We were skating with some locals, kind of a random crew that day. I can't remember everything. Everyone was super cool, but one of the homies was like, oh, can I skate this pole jam with you? And we just drove by it and saw it and started sessioning it. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. And then he was so sketchy though. He was going Mach 10, and just every time he hit the base of the pole jam, his board would just go a different direction. He would just tumble off the fucking thing. And I was working my way up. If anyone's ever been trying a trick that's scary, kind of the last thing that you need is to consistently watch somebody eat shit trying the same thing right in front of you. And you're it was a bit mentally weird to push forward on that one, but that was an amazing spot, the 50-50. Oh, good story about that lip slide, about to put Chris Ray on blast. I did that lip slide in Reno, first try, and Chris wanted to film it again because he wanted another angle, and I was like, fuck, really? I don't know, 18 stair lip slides isn't something you just mess around with. And he was very, very against me and Matt Miller smoking weed in his vehicle. Like on all the drives, we tried so hard, like, come on, just let us take a one hitter and blow it out the window or something. And he was like, no, like you can't. Like his wife was super against it, like, no. And he was like, if you do the lip slide again, I'll let you take one hitters on the way back. And I was like, okay, fine. Like Matt was like, do it. Like we could finally like smoke weed in the car. And so I did it. It actually worked out twice in a row. So that was a good session. And we got to take our little one hits on the way back and blow it out the window. He was still like, he was so scared. Like, do not tell my wife, like you can't. And he even brought it up like a month later, like we were taking a road trip all together and he's like cornered me and was like, yo, don't talk about me letting you smoke. I was like, I forgot all about that, but yeah, I won't. When they put that quarter pipe in at 3rd and Army, I was just like trying to find a way to find transition, man. You always got to find transition. Not a spent 540 fucking whatnot in the most heinous shirt ever. That shirt haunts me. It's still, people still like talk about like back when you used to wear jean jackets or whatever, and I'm like, I never wore cut off jean jackets. That was a t-shirt that was supposed to look like a cut off jean jacket, and it was a little too good, and I've just never seen myself wear such a thing. But when we put that pole jam together, I wanted to just do a 360. In my head, I was like, maybe I can do a 360, not a spin and go down. And I'd actually never even like got to that point yet of trying the 360. And then all of a sudden I got stuck in that one that just kept going, and I ended up at 540 and take that.
What about that hat that you're wearing?
I mean, I was 19 at best. So, you know, there isn't a huge like different era of David, but there was a couple interesting things back then. That hat and that shirt, and I think there was a little dress shirt phase too, some button up somewhere along the line. The Duff Stays, the giant Sevilles. God, it's hard watching some of that footage. Little kid staples pretty much all in a row. Yeah, the 540 no comply, been a good one to me for years. Foot plants, that's foot plants and 360 mutes. That's 11-year-old Dave coming through. Man, that crook was first try, and I was stoked on that because that was scary. That rail's near my hometown, Bellevue, fucking Long 8. Oh, this crook to back Smith, I was stoked on that one. That was originally supposed to be a wall ride back 3, but I couldn't do it, so I had to settle with the wall ride back 180, 1 foot. I've always been drawn to the water. If there's a water feature, I'm going over there to at least look for critters, and then I'll probably find something. Oh, I remember that pole, like I wanted that pole jam, you could make it bigger or smaller, and like, I'm pretty sure I had it, like Chris was like, bigger, and I was like, dude, like, it's gonna be like, no, you gotta do it bigger. The 50-50 double kink, TransWorld cover, kind of a lot of stuff to talk about here. That was when the Malto curse was discovered. That's been talked about. I can't say enough of how I have no beef against Malto, and he's a great guy. I mean, I don't know what he thinks of me after I'm not pleased with my performances of what he saw, because it would just be like, everything would be going fine, Malto would show up on the trip, and then like I would get hurt right away on like nothing. Just the most freak accident would happen, and then I'd just be dust. And it started to get in my head, and then it kind of came to a peak on that Australia trip to Coco, because I'd already like got some good stuff, and then Malto flew in a couple days later, and as soon as he got here, we went night skating, and I found this like little flat bar feature, and I just went to 50 it, and it was on top of a ledge, like a narrow ledge, and you ride before it and grind, and I just went for a 50, and my wheels slipped out, fell off the fucking thing, tacoed, completely dust, and I was just like, man, again? Like, maybe I like got in my head, and we went to look at that double kink, and I was like, I think I could grind this. I like it, but we're gonna come back on a later day. Then I had the day we were gonna go there, we skated some spot and I was having another horrible session and I was like, I'm not doing it. Everything's wrong. I got a Malto curse. Like, I can't do this right now. And I was just sitting there bummed out, and like Kami came over and was like, dude, like, this could be real. Like, you should really do this. If you think you can do it, then we should really try. And I was like, all right, but like, this is so weird. And I had to like explain. I don't think I told anyone about my Malto curse yet. And I was like, I'm down, but here's the deal. How do we go without Malto? So fucked. So just like me, Trapasso, and like one of the filmers and Kami, like separate mission, just drove off there. I grinded it and came out before the kink first try, and then grinded it all the way through the kink next try. And it was just like so stoked. Then went back and we went to China, and I like broke my ankle first day outside the skate shop while Malto was getting grip tape. So back to that. I mean, we've chatted. I'd love to take him fishing and show him that I don't always have to freak out and yell.
So anyway, that was a cover.
That was my first cover of one of the major magazines, and quite another milestone. Can't thank TransWorld enough, really, for the milestones that they've given me in my career and life. So, love you guys. Devin, dude, holy fuck. This was one of the gnarliest things I've literally ever been part of. Me and Devin, we totally never wanted to skate the same thing as each other ever. But whenever he'd get a banger, I ended up getting a banger like somewhere else. Like, I don't know. Whenever he did something, I felt so goddamn motivated to do something. And whenever I did something, I think he got the same fire as well. And I can't remember what I'd done that day, but I know I'd scared the fuck out of myself and rode away. And then we showed up at this spot where you're just supposed to skate over the rail into the bank, because this is like a fucking 10 flat 12 or something like that. And it's so long. I remember seeing it being like, that's not possible. But the runway is super long, like downhill. You can literally like haul. And Devin was like, I'm gonna do it. And he hardly ever bails. Like all the big stuff you've seen Devin do, he usually lands on his board first try. And so he was doing that there, and he was sticking them perfectly. And I was like, this might be it, Devin. You might have found something that's finally like too big for you to ride away from. Like I don't know what you can do more. Like, I wish they had all of his bails in here. Like, it was just, I think he might have broke a board here and there too. And I was just like feeling like, God, this is so hard to watch. I'm just watching my homie just destroy himself. And then he fucking rode away. The board slide at UC Davis in the rain. We showed up there and it started raining. Saw that board slide and I was like, has anyone done this? And when I found out that no one had done it, I was like, oh, I want to come back and do that. And Chris was like, can you do it in the rain? And I'm like, no. And he's like, I think it would be really good footage in the rain. And I'm like, yeah, everything would be better in the rain, but there's a reason everyone doesn't just wait till it's raining to film their clips. Like, I'm pretty sure the runway to this is like the smoothest marble as well. So it was not a safe feeling at all. But again, looking back, very stoked that he made me do it, because I didn't die, and it's a sick clip. Oh, this rail too. The one at the Gap rail in Everett. Garrett found that spot like years ago, and he took me there before the TransWorld video. I'd been there, and it's really intimidating. You can't see the rail at all from back there. I mean, now I know nowadays people have done some stuff on it, but I was never one of those dudes that can just jump down a 16 just kick my board at stuff and still land down like safely. Like, I had to really try to connect to the rail or else I was gonna smear. And it took a while to get over the fear to gap 50 it, and it ended up going down first try, and I was like real stoked on that. And then when we went back there on a TransWorld trip, like, I didn't really know what I was gonna do. I knew the rail was scary. I 5-0'd it first, and that was first try as well. And then I did the nose grind, and that was first try. So I've actually never fallen on that rail. It's always special. Then this is probably one of my favorite tricks in the whole video to me, nose blending the infamous 3 up, 3 down. Didn't really think it would ever be a spot that I would get a trick on. It's been skated by so many people and that are way better at me at ledges and manuals. So to find a trick that I believe hadn't been done at the time felt like a real big achievement for me. The big boy. Tried to take a weed nap there. I don't know how I feel about that. Sometimes I'm like, oh dude, why'd you do that? You kind of look like a cool guy, or you're trying to like throw some fake steez in it or something, but I don't know. It wasn't a decision I had, it just happened. I just felt so, like the dimensions of that rail were so like, it was tall, so you could actually go kind of fast at it instead of always having to kind of creep and ollie high onto the big ones. It just kind of gave me like a weightless, I just felt completely locked in, and I don't know, I just ended up dropping them hands and standing up, getting cocky. I mean, it's all chill there, but that landing was like coming off a pretty big stair. This wall ride was the first trick I ever filmed for the video part. Like the first time I went down to Sacramento to meet Chris Ray, this was the first spot we went to. I was like, at first, like, oh, sick, like I have a trick for this and I can do it easily, and this will be a great introduction to meeting the TransWorld dudes. But instead, I beat the shit out of myself and could not ride away, and showed them my first freak out, but eventually rode away. I hate that sometimes the only way I can ride away from a trick is when I'm at the point of pure, like, aggression. I'd stuck it so many times, I just could not ride away. The 50-50 body varial. Oh man, that was a wild day. I can't talk about what happened before that, but I was real stoked to actually find a rail to do that trick on. I'd been doing it at skate parks as just kind of a joke, but always thought it'd be cool. It was a different time, and people were so scared of body varials, and people did not like that trick. Some people, no. But I still wanted to do it, and wait, is it my ender?
Would you do an ender like that now?
Hell yeah. What are we seeing here, dude? No complies and body varials? What is huge now? No complies and body varials? Like, this just might be a trendsetter. It was probably my first like really wide scene part. I'd had a creature part. I mean, definitely some stuff in Thrasher videos and not a whole lot. Creature wasn't as big by any means back then, so this was definitely by far my biggest video part and led to me turning pro. Yeah, if you looked at milestones of my life, this would have to be a very big one. I'm proud of it, man. Like, I came into the video late because Anthony Schwartz was supposed to have my part, and then he broke his leg. I felt like I didn't have much time, and I mean, Chris Ray, at the time, there was moments where I was just like, dude, this guy is a fucking nightmare. Like, I like can't do this, but then thankful as fuck that he was there to push me like that, because there's definitely tricks in here. I mean, I was pretty motivated myself. Like, I mean, I knew what I was being tasked with. I knew this was a huge opportunity and nobody wanted to do better than I did, but there's a few tricks in here that would not have gone down if Chris Ray wasn't out of his damn mind and had no concerns for my safety. Sorry, Chris, I love you, dog. Yeah, craziness. I met my wife during this time. Like, yeah, wild ride.